everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies Podcast. We are talking Heartland today, and we are into season 2, episodes 4, 5, and 6. And we're really excited to be talking about these episodes. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Michelle is here.
Hey, everyone.
Yes, and so Amy is not here today, but she will be back, so no worries. But I'd say these were pretty fun episodes.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I especially loved this first episode we're going to talk about, Dancing in the Dark. I mean, if you're a romance fan, which we all are here at the Hallmarkies Podcast, it was pretty fun.
Yeah. Super emotional episode, this one as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you kind of got lots of little romances. It wasn't just one main romance. They started out pretty funny with Lou trying to get everyone out of the house early. And what'd you think of that? That was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was really funny. And one of the things that I actually appreciated was you actually saw all of the food and them all eating it. It drives me crazy when you see any TV show or movie where they have like a huge spread and they'll grab like one or two things and walk out, and it's like that person's been cooking for hours.
Right.
just grab one or two things. But it seemed to have a bit of production line with all the people at the house. God, no wonder she was dying for a little bit of quiet.
Yeah.
Because you realise Caleb's there now, Mallory's staying there. So
yeah, especially with Mallory, I think you want her to be gone if you wanted some peace and quiet and not to have because she's a bit of a gossip. But I loved Mallory and Jake, little Jake. That was so funny.
Yeah, he's okay. And just sort of not sure if she likes him, or I think she definitely likes the attention. That's it. That's pretty sure.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious.
Yeah, that's something I definitely can't really relate to very much. I was not one that had sort of a crush like that, or when I was like little, like she is. I mean, how old is Mallory in this? She's 13?
Yeah, I would say about 13. Yeah, I don't think she's 14. No, I would say 13.
Something like
13.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I love his whole like confidence. He's like, she says you're too small, and he says, "Well, I'll grow." It's
yeah, it's so cute. I just love that. It's so funny, and I think Mallory might be my favorite character on the show. She's so funny, and no, I just like her.
Yeah, I don't know who my favorite is. I think Scott is one of my favorites. I remember when I first started the show, he was like far and away my favorite, but that definitely changes in these next couple episodes. He's kind of frustrating in this episode and the next one. But yeah, Mallory's definitely up there as one of the most popular characters.
Yeah,
and actually Caleb as well. Believe it or not, he becomes one of my favorite because I do like the characters that are very antagonistic, and you see a change in them as the show goes. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of watch that again.
Yeah,
he does go through quite a change.
Yeah. What do you think of Lisa getting Jack that saddle?
I feel like she should know Jack a little bit at this point. Like, confronting him with anything. I mean, especially in front of all those cowboys and things. That was never going to go down well. But they had very good intentions. I mean, I love Jack and Lisa.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I think, kind of the most kind of swoony romance on the show, because they do have a lot of respect for each other, and I love that Lisa respects his previous relationship with his wife and doesn't overstep with his family. She understands that he can't rush into anything, and she understands that. which is probably why she's kind of overcompensating a little bit with the gifts and things like that, because she just says that she can't wait for him to say things so she can ask the buy him things, and
Yeah.
that's has her way of saying that she loves him.
I mean,
But yeah, they're still cute.
I had no idea there were such differences in saddles. I
No
mean,
idea.
no idea.
I suppose. I suppose there's fancy versions of everything.
And I guess this one has like extra padding or something like that. And
Yeah. I mean, I'd be pretty happy with that. I'd love that. Thing for
yeah.
snacks and drinks.
Yeah. Well, when we talk about Lou's friends coming in the next episode, that that
Oh, they would have loved those saddles.
yeah, I think so, because the one time I have gone horseback riding, when I went to the Dude Ranch, I was so sore the next day after, like it hurt so and so I was kind of glad that they showed that, because it is painful.
Yeah, and I have been watching a lot of the cast and the actual show itself, the show's account itself, as they're
Uh-huh.
filming season 14. They've been showing a lot of kind of behind the scenes, kind of them just all hanging about filming, and they are up on those horses just in between like camera setups and things, like they are really up there going through it.
Yeah. And so they probably want a cushier saddle, but yeah, Jack is pretty embarrassed that he has this fancy saddle. So that's one of the couples that we get in this episode. Like I said, if you like romance, there's a good one, because you have Lou and Scott, you have Lisa and Jack, you have we'll talk some more about theirs, but you have Mallory and Jake. To name a few. Plus, we have the first annual Ray Phillips Memorial Spring Cattle Drive. I think I got that right. So the nearby rancher who Tim worked for in the cattle drive, that is now has passed away, and his daughter Callie has come back, kind of like what Lou has done, and so her and Tim kind of have hit it off. And what did you think of Callie and Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of glad we got back to Tim being kind of charming and a little bit kind of bashful and goofy in this episode, especially when he was talking to Amy. We just did not know what to say, because obviously in the last episode I really was struggling with him, because it felt like it'd kind of taken quite a few steps forward and then kind of reverted all the way back in the last episode. But he's back to sort of the development that we'd seen thus far. But yeah, I really liked him in this episode, and I liked the conversation that he'd had with Amy, because I suppose she hasn't really seen him with anybody. She hasn't seen him with her mum. She hasn't seen him dating anybody, because he's just not been in her life. So this is all kind of new to her, just as she's getting to know him.
Yeah, it's true. And she's struggling with her own relationships going on, and so that's probably hard for her to see. Now just all the change, it's a lot of change to all happen. And so the Scott ends up coming over, and it didn't look like champagne. That looked like apple cider, like, to me, that they're having. I'm like, that does not look like champagne at all. But they're gonna have their time together, and he gets called out on a vet visit. And the thing that kind of annoyed me about that is that he's so upset with her later on about the bloggers that come early, and I'm like, you literally left. Like, why are you upset? I don't know. I thought it was weird.
and I think it was the previous episode or one of the previous episodes, he'd kind of complained about her being too busy for him, and then she takes this whole day. And I mean, if he'd just said from the get go, "I'm on call," I couldn't get that. That's not the day. That's not a day off. Not when you could be called away, especially when. Do you know what I mean? He's kind of the main vet for that area. They're obviously going to need him at some point. But this drove me crazy because this felt like they had to break them up, and it didn't make sense. It just really didn't make sense because of where kind of Scott was in the last episode, and so he's just kind of was like, "Oh, I don't know." And I'm like, "What? What were you talking about?"
Yeah, like him all of a sudden being
Yeah,
having all these
it felt
doubts. I agree. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it felt very out of character, especially when he's been so head over heels for Lou from the pilot episode, pretty much.
Yeah. I agree. And it just didn't make sense to me that why would you be upset with her for having people over when he had literally left when she had to be free earlier in the morning?
This was the first kind of writing thing where I was just kind of shaking my head a little bit, which is pretty good for, we're way into the second season, so
yeah,
pretty good
true.
run. But
that's
yeah,
true.
this was the one thing I was just thinking, this makes no sense.
No. And so then we have that Lou ends up going to lunch with Marnie, and she's super excited about the idea of the equine retreat and offers to be the caterer. And so then we have this, she gets in this little car accident with this couple that's in a Volkswagen Beetle. And of course, for sure that those people are going to end up as being the guests of the house, and they are. And they're there a week early.
Yep.
Yeah. So she wasn't planning on them being at the house, and so she's freaking out, and so she calls Marnie and she says, "Will you come early and do the catering?"
Marnie's a really good friend.
Yeah, she is.
Marnie's
oh my gosh.
Just like there, Lou didn't even know that she was pregnant, which I found insane.
Right. Although some people, it is kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, I suppose it is, like, you don't want to ask unless you're told.
Yes.
But yeah, she's a really good friend. Like, right off the one phone call, she's there catering. She's got all there. She's got everything. She's ready to go.
Yeah, there's a Brian Regan bit where he's like, "Never guess at that, ever, ever, never, ever, ever." And he's like, "Oh, you're are you pregnant?" No, he was not. Yeah. But especially, I guess, if you're sitting down, it may be harder to tell. But yeah, I mean, Marnie, she's able to pull this whole thing together very quickly. Very impressive.
This is a pretty good audition for our catering anyway.
I know. She should be on some kind of reality show, like Fast Catering kind of thing. I mean, it's pretty good. And and so then these people, she's supposedly this famous travel blogger, and I would think if you were a famous travel blogger, you would make sure you had your dates right a whole week early.
Yeah.
And
if that's kind of your job,
and if you were to make a mistake like that, I would think that she would feel really bad about it. You know what I mean? Like, be less sort of entitled when she's showing up a week early.
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't hold it against the venue, especially a brand new place that's just opened.
Yeah. And so Callie tells Tim, she says there's more money in subdivisions and ranching.
Yeah, because she's inherited her dad's ranch, and she's not She's definitely not going to be running the ranch, so Tim's job is gone.
Yes. And earlier, she was pretty nervous about crossing the river, and that was a pretty fun scene because she's like, "Wow, this is above my skill level." And so they did. So he was able to transfer her onto his horse. So they double rode the horse, and that was very cozy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and we find out that the horses that Ty and Amy have, they're kind of a bit of a double act because one of them is blind, so they stick together. So every time Amy and it's a pretty good device actually. So every time Amy and Ty are separated, the horses just want to be back together. And
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's kind of the last thing Amy and Ty want at this point.
Yes, because they figure out that one of the horses is blind.
Yeah.
And so they want to be together. And
across the river without Amy's horse.
Mm-hmm. And Amy says to Ty, "I don't know anything. You never bothered to tell me."
Which is fair.
Is very fair. Like, why? It still doesn't make any sense to me why he would just leave. There's no need to it. Why? There was no need for it to be secret or for it to be. He could have just had a conversation with her.
Yeah, and she finds out that out of the 4 months that he was gone, a lot of that time he was only an hour away, which kind of angered her as well, which makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't make, there's nothing scandalous. There's nothing to hide. He's spending time with his dad. What is the problem?
And it was his dad that was wrong, not him. You know, he didn't do it, other than leaving, he didn't do anything illegal or wrong. It was his dad that got him into the mess, so, you know.
Yeah, it was weird. It doesn't make sense. So that's frustrating. But then you have Scott coming back, and first I was like, "Oh, he's gonna be like great," and he's teaching the Volkswagen couple about branding and castrating, and about Rocky Mountain oysters. That made me laugh.
I don't think anybody would want that authentic experience.
Yeah. And so they're like, those are not like from the ocean. And so then Callie fires Tim so that he can then basically purchase the land.
Yeah.
And he says to Amy, "I like her, especially because she fired me." And he talks to Amy and he says basically like, "Is this okay?" Which I thought was considerate of him.
Yeah.
To do. And I mean, it's a good thing because what is Amy gonna say? But still, it was still thoughtful. And so then you have them all sort of dancing outside the cattle and I like that. That was fun. Like Jack and Lisa dancing. You have Jake and Mallory dancing, and of course Mallory's freaking out. Fun. And you have Callie and Tim dancing. So that was just fun to have everybody dancing.
Until they get crashed by a bunch of cattle.
And yes, and so Ty and Caleb get in a fight, and they let the cattle out, and so then they have to go around and get the cattle, and they end up having to stay all night to watch the cows after that. And they're able to go without sleep. Watching horses or cattle seems to be the thing for ranchers that I all night long seem to be a thing that they have to deal with quite frequently on the show.
Lots of sleepless nights in this show.
Yes. And you get a kiss between Tim and Callie, so that was pretty exciting.
Yep.
And I like that. I always think it's cute on shows when they remember to have characters ask for each other's phone numbers, because a lot of times they sort of skip over those steps, and they're so cute that that I don't know. I like that. I like it when they remember to ask for numbers, or to have like those early parts of dating, and they just assume that everybody kind of has all of that stuff. And I always like it when they include, can I hold your hand, and can I get your phone number? Like those kind of stuff sometimes gets skipped.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cute. And then the
we also get a Ty and Amy kiss as well, which is why
that's right.
Ty's extra sensitive to Caleb's kind of Caleb's confusing. Caleb's very confusing. He seems to like a different girl every episode, but he seems to not want to let this Amy thing go. So any opportunity to kind of poke at Ty a little bit, he kind of takes that opportunity. But they don't really talk after the kiss, so we don't know what that means. We don't know if that means they're back together. If she's forgiven him, we don't really know.
Yeah, Ty says to Amy, I didn't want to lie, but I wasn't sure you wanted to hear it. And then they kiss. And so I just don't understand why she wouldn't want to hear it. Like, I mean, it's seriously, hi, Amy, I'm going to spend some time with my dad. Okay. Like, what? Like, there's not a problem here.
TV land. Very complicated.
Yeah. And so Scott, he, like we talked about, that he's all saying, oh, I'm always second priority, and that was frustrating.
And he's also like, what should I do with the couple? And he's like, kick them out. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. She's going to kick out our first clients.
Yeah, and these famous bloggers, like, you think that he would be more understanding. And they have this whole thing where, well, we maybe we should take a break, and maybe we should get married, is what Lou says. And that's just what they show here, but evidently the conversation was more, we find out in the next episode. So yeah, it seems like if he had really held a candle for her all of these years, that this fast he would be breaking up, wanted to break up.
Yeah, it feels like all of a sudden they're just like on completely different pages out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt really bad. I mean, let's say Scott was one of my favorite. He's kind of dwindling now. So
yeah, I know.
I kind of make it up. But this one was like really sympathetic for Lou, because she did really put herself out there. I mean, she was kind of resisting Scott and the vulnerability that would kind of have to come from her. So she really put herself out there just to have it end like this, which is insane to me.
Yeah. So the next episode is called Corporate Cowgirls, and this one, 3 of Lou's friends from New York City are coming to visit the equine retreat, and they were going to have a author who is the queen of equine guided education, that now is going on Oprah, and so she canceled on them. And basically Amy's like, this lady is full of it, and we don't need her. But Lou wants to impress her friends. And what do you think of this episode?
Yeah, this is a really fun episode. Great Lou episode.
Yeah. And so we get the introduction to a new character at the very beginning that Ty stumbles upon, a woman named Kit, who is bathing, and and she is played by Tatiana Maslany, and she was kind of big in the news this week. Yeah, she's the new She-Hulk. Who would have known back in this? But yeah, so she.
Have you ever seen Orphan Black?
I've never seen it. I've heard about it, but I've never
Yeah,
seen
she's
it.
absolutely phenomenal in it. So I was obsessed with the show when it came out because if people don't know, she plays like I would say over 10 different characters in that show. It's about cloning, and there's scenes where she is playing all of the characters, like up to 3, 4, 5 characters in one scene, and you do feel like you're watching different people. Like she is a total chameleon. So it was crazy to kind of watch this show and see her pop up in this. But yeah, she's kind of one of the kind of recurring guest stars, so she pops up quite a bit in these early seasons. A really popular character, really love her.
Oh, that's good. So she's not just
Yeah.
a couple. You see her a couple times.
No. Yeah, she kind of pops up a few times, and she's one of these characters that's a really great character. Comes across like a really great person, and is unfortunately caught up in all of our kind of main characters' drama, and you just kind of feel bad for her. You're like, God, this girl doesn't deserve this.
Oh, that's good. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets caught up in Ashley's shenanigans too.
Yeah.
There, but yeah, I mean, she's a fun character, and it's a fun way for her to kind of get started. Is for her Ty to have this thing.
Yeah.
At first, I was worried she was going to be like that, the thief, like last.
Yeah. No. But yeah, biggest news this episode is that Ty shaved. He's got rid of that. He's kind of facial hair that he got when he kind of disappeared, and he came back kind of all rugged and unshaven. So he's finally shaved. He looks kind of like a season 1 Ty again.
So
Yeah.
So are you excited for Tatiana Maslany to be She-Hulk?
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of looking at different kind of casting because we don't really know if they're going to do practical effects or CGI. I'm guessing they'll do like a blend of both. But I think I was kind of thinking maybe they'll kind of go for somebody like a former wrestler that's kind of broken into acting, somebody that's really kind of got a more kind of physical, She-Hulk appearance. But
like someone like Gina Carano or someone like that.
Yeah, something similar to that. Because there is quite a few wrestlers that have kind of broken into acting, but I do like that they've gone this route. She's kind of somebody that I just never in my wildest dreams could have come up with, but phenomenal actress. So I'm so excited to see what they do and how they approach it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait to see these Marvel shows because we can't really judge if they're good yet.
Right.
So I'm excited about this, but I'm also like,
true.
okay, we need to see this Vision show. We need to see this, Winter Soldier show. We need to see how they are before we can get too excited.
Because it'll be a whole year from the start of Disney Plus before we'll see any of the Marvel shows, which is kind of crazy. Even with COVID and stuff, you think they could have gotten one of them out this year.
Yeah, because I think they said there was like one episode of Vision they still had to film before they were shut down. So I think people are saying that speculating that it's going to be December for that show, but there's no guarantee it's going to be this year.
I think they put it in the little last promo, so that's exciting. Which is one of my most excited. Of all of them, I was excited about WandaVision. So
have you read the Vision comics from? Is it the Matt Fraction ones?
I haven't.
Oh, you have to do those. That's very much what I think they're going for. Kind of like this kind of sitcom-y vibe.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It's going to be like Dick Van Dyke or something.
Yep.
Anyway. So
little Marvel section in Heartland.
Yeah, and so then what do you think of these the divas from New York City?
I loved a lot of the kind of camera tricks where they would kind of put them in slow-mo and really kind of play them up. They were very much caricatures of when Lou first got to Heartland. But yeah, I thought it was kind of a cool thing to do because Lou has changed so much since she first came back to Heartland. So for her to kind of properly kind of see how far removed she is from that world now was kind of cool. And I thought these girls were kind of all different enough that there was some interesting conversations and things that came up throughout the episode.
Is that an ice cream truck?
It is, yes. It comes every single time we record the podcast, and every time so far, you or Amy have been talking when it's come by. So I've been able to mic myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
Go get an ice cream. Put it on pause. That's very, very nostalgic.
You guys not have ice cream vans in the US?
I mean, not very often. I
have one that comes like 5 times a day.
Oh my gosh, that's so
seriously
funny.
Like one comes at 10:30 at night, so you can't go to sleep before because you get woken up by the
Oh really?
van.
It's like old hat for you, huh? No, I can't even tell you. One time we had a cupcake truck. That was pretty exciting. But I live in a gated community, so that's probably why they can't get in. But that's funny. So yeah, Mallory is trying to teach Copper how to jump. And why does she want to? She just wants to compete, or why does she care about this?
Maybe she just wants to do more with Copper and maybe enter competitions and things like that. I'm guessing, but Copper just doesn't seem to be much of a jumping horse at this point, at least not without Amy's help.
Yeah.
But the second she said, "Can I train with Spartan?" I was like, "Oh God." She's just going to do it anyway.
Well, and so she decides that she's going to try to practice with Spartan because she gets upset because they take Copper on the ride on that they do, the trail ride. And that's it's Spartan is above her, I think, skill level.
Yeah.
As far as a horse.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what it was going in this episode. I couldn't really remember this episode that well, and I was like, if she falls off of this horse and we have another injury.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. I know, the poor emergency room there is getting very well used. And so they end up, she puts her friends to work, and you have particularly, I think it's Lauren, I think is the one that is
that the blonde one?
No, so it's not. Lauren is the one who makes pass it to him, right?
Yeah, so Mackenzie.
Yeah, which is the gluten-free one?
Mackenzie, I think, is the gluten-free one where she just can't eat anything.
Yeah, it was out of control. Like if you are going to be that particular on a vacation, then you need to bring your own food with you.
Yeah. 100%.
And people because my mom is gluten-free, and people that are gluten-free, they're just like, they have it down. They are used to, like, nobody in their right mind expects them to have a gluten-free cupcake shop in the middle of nowhere, like a dude ranch. Like, what? Equine retreat. Like, no, of course. I mean, come on.
Yeah, this is where they were kind of stereotypes, because it was like they didn't know anywhere existed outside of New York.
Yeah. I mean, gluten-free girl, that's what I just called her in my notes because I wasn't sure her name. And she was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what?
I'm kind of one of those people, if I go somewhere and there's food that I don't like, I wouldn't say anything. I would just force myself to eat it. I'm that that kind of person. I was just like, I just wouldn't want to be rude and say no to somebody's food. I would just take it.
Yeah, because like gluten-free and those kinds of like food allergies,
unless it's something very serious, obviously. But
I mean, for those kinds of because there's like celiac disease, which if you do eat the gluten, you'll be like really sick, like super bad. And so there's that, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about somebody for dietary reasons or whatever. Like, that's not really like a food allergy. That's like a dietary choice. And so for someone like her, it's ridiculous, and that she couldn't find something to eat, but she's like dairy free, and I don't know, it was a lot. She was a lot. And but it was, I still liked the fact that Lou was able to kind of win them over, and that they ended up having a great experience on the trip.
Yeah, I did love all of the reactions to the guys on the ranch. Like the second they showed up and they saw Caleb, and then they saw Tim, and then Jack, and they were like, oh, they were very happy for the guys.
And the thing is that they're all trying to find cell service, and I'm like, don't they all use cell phones all the time?
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that was a thing. Because I see Amy and Lou and all of them using cell phones.
Yeah, I mean, maybe because they were out kind of on the trail ride, maybe they can only have service in a certain area.
Maybe.
I'm not sure, but yeah, for a retreat as well, where you're not supposed to be working.
Yeah. And so Amy says to Ty, "Did you mean the kiss?" And he claims, "Well, you kissed me, not I kissed you."
Yeah, that's drove me crazy because we're still none the wiser if they're together or not together yet. Don't know.
I mean, does it really matter who? A kiss is a kiss. Does it really matter who kissed who?
Yeah, I think they're just dragging this out.
Yeah. And that Caleb says to Ty, all Tim needs is another novice like you. And so they're fighting, and Caleb claims that he's sick, but he really is just wanting to hang around Ashley, which why would you want to hang around Ashley? But,
yeah, she shows up, and then he says he's sick, so you kind of know right away he's kind of gone to Briar Ridge to help her with the rodeo queen that she's entering.
But it leaves Lou in a bind for this trail ride, and but she gets Tim to come, and she begs Jax to come, and Jax is, that she promised that she wouldn't make him a city slicker, but finally he agrees to do it, which was sweet.
Jack's softening towards this whole thing now.
Yeah. He's a softie when it comes to Lou and Amy,
absolutely.
I think. Yeah. So then we have that Mallory loses Spartan, and Spartan ends up eating this poisoned grass,
and gets pesticide poisoning.
Yeah. And so I always wonder how they are able to sort of mimic. Obviously they can't really make the horse sick. And so I always wonder how they're able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, even in this episode, and especially the next one, like the horse work that they do in this show is incredible. Yeah, I have no idea how they do it, especially some of these horses that are supposed to have particular kind of tics and behavior problems, and with the blind horse that was kind of going in circles the whole time, and they're able to kind of mimic a lot of things that are very, very impressive.
Yeah, because obviously they can't actually hurt the horse and have the horse be sick, and so how do they make it look so? It's looked so real that this horse was poisoned. It's very interesting. And so we find out that one of the girls has gotten Lou's old job, and of course that leaves her feeling kind of conflicted. And so that's hard for her. And we find out that Scott and Lou had broken up, which is frustrating. And
do you think that he broke up with her, or she broke up with him?
He broke up with her. She wanted to
absolutely.
get married.
Yeah, absolutely. I was
So,
like, why are they arguing about this? It's pretty obvious who broke up with who.
right. Yeah, exactly. And so then Ty saves the day with Spartan, and he makes this charcoal mixture. And how did he even know how to do that?
I think he was looking through kind of Amy's like papers, and maybe her mum had stuff on this kind of
Oh.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of, because we did see him kind of rifling through kind of papers and folders and things, so he kind of figures out pretty quickly that he has to get this horse to drink charcoal water.
Yeah.
And was it Kit and Caleb kind of come to help them as well, because Scott is on his way.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because the kidneys of the horse are going to fail if they don't
Which
get.
is, if that
Yeah.
happens, then Spartan's not wrong for this world if that happens.
Mm-hmm. And so then this is when the blonde lady kisses Tim, which was pretty bold of her to do. It's like, what is wrong with you? And so they end up having a good experience, and it was kind of cute. I thought that sort of Mallory, Ty, Caleb, and Kit end up becoming kind of a little team to save Spartan.
We kind of see a little bit of development between Caleb and Ty, where they're kind of more on speaking terms.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they've kind of talked so far this season, it's turned into a fight or a competition of, like, Ty isn't aware it's a competition, but Caleb's kind of always trying to get Amy away from him. So this kind of seemed like a little bit of a development where they kind of had a little bit more respect for each other.
Yeah. So
Ty just.
Yeah. And so our next episode is called Holding Fast. And in this one we have it starts out with, it's a big rodeo episode.
Yeah, and what happens in this episode?
Mm-hmm. And Soraya is basically being trained by Lou to be the for the queen of the rodeo competition, but she's like way stage momming it and making her wear this turquoise outfit, which was pretty hideous.
I suppose they'll have to have like a sponsor. And Heartland is sponsoring Soraya. But I love the line where she was like, if you drop this the flag, your arm better be attached to it. She's way over the top.
Yeah, and so basically Soraya's finally like, forget you, I'm doing this on my own. And so then Lou ends up entering the rodeo queen just in place. So she ends up competing with Soraya in the thing. And which she has all this baggage about her being, I mean, it's surprising that she would do this when Tim, that was her big issue with Tim being the stage dad.
Yeah, so she was a bit younger at this point, wasn't she? She was like 8 or something when she competed, I think.
Mm-hmm. But you think that, you'd think that she would treat Soraya better with her experience.
Yeah, but she just immediately reverts into Tim a little bit.
Yeah. And so there's this mechanical bull outside the diner that they end up practicing on. And that mechanical bull looked like it was so close to the wall. I was like, somebody's going to fly off and hit the wall. And
anytime I've seen one of those, it's kind of been, lots of room all the way around, or it's been in a bar where it's kind of all padding.
And open, and I'm like, he's gonna hit his head on that wall. It looked so close, like brick wall. I mean, I think it was probably not as close as it looked. I think it's kind of optical illusion a little bit, but still, I was just like, not that bull. But little Jake is on the mechanical bull, which was really cute.
He falls off and hurts his ankle.
Yeah.
Mallory feels bad because What is it she says? She thinks that he was trying to impress her.
Yeah,
So
he was trying to impress her.
yeah.
Who knows? It was cute. And so we find out that Caleb is planning on entering the rodeo roping, and but he needs a partner. And so Amy says, well, hey, why don't I do it with you? And that causes conflict for Tim because he's kind of mad. Like, you said you didn't have time to do this jumping, but now you're spending all this time doing the roping.
Yeah, but she doesn't have school anymore, so she does have a little bit more free time. You know, back when she was doing the jumping, she had like exams and was failing, and you know, her time was definitely very pushed at that point. But she doesn't have school. The Dude Ranch is opened, so they're not under pressure getting that up and running.
Yeah. Well,
So
and
she does have a bit more free time.
plus, like, I think it's more fun to try, just to try to learn something new. That's sort of more exciting, as opposed to like when you're in the grinds of like.
And that's just, I don't really know how these kind of things work, but that just seemed like one element of a bigger competition. So you can do kind of all of them the way Caleb is, where he's kind of an all-rounder, where he's doing everything. Whereas there's people that just kind of do one event, which is what Amy was doing.
Yeah, and so we find out that Ashley is entering the barrel racing, and of course Val is very turns up her nose at this, and she says that it's a low rent beauty pageant with trashy clothes and big hair, which I would think that Ashley would be all about that. And it turns out she does enter the rodeo queen, which I had said earlier, like, why isn't Ashley into this? And
yeah, that's right.
Which makes sense to me that she would want to be the rodeo queen.
Yeah, but we find out as well that Kit's helping her, and she's kind of supporting her and things like that. And Ashley's like, "Why are you kind of cheering me on?" And we find out that your attitude at the competition, you know, your spirit, they call it,
Rodeo
goes
spirit.
into like 20, your 20% of your final score. So Ashley better be a team player. She's going to go far in this.
Yeah, and so the we find out that pain and bravery are a literal combination that will drive the ladies wild. So that's Caleb and Ty. That's so what about you, Michelle? Does that drive you wild? Pain and bravery? I thought that was funny.
Thanks. Oh, Caleb.
Maybe I think a little less pain. I think
a little less pain. Yeah, 100%.
The bravery, I agree. But anyway, and so Tim and Jack have to work together on the rodeo committee, and I guess their relationship has come quite a ways.
Yeah.
The fact they're even able to work together at all.
Yeah, they're not punching each other anymore. So
yeah, they can be in the same room, so that's good.
Yeah, this is kind of the classic kind of Jack and Tim kind of banter that we get kind of going forwards.
Yeah.
So this is we finally got to a point where they can have a conversation without violence ensuing.
So Caleb doesn't want to do the roping with Amy. He doesn't think that she can do it. And Tim gets kind of upset with Caleb and says, "What are you doing? She can do it. Why are you behaving this way?"
Yeah. I kind of got the feeling that Caleb was, the second Tim kind of initially was a bit kind of against it, but I felt like Caleb's response was more about wanting to impress Tim, because Tim is this kind of idol to him. So he just wanted to impress him, and the idea of doing this with a girl was like an affront. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like embarrassed to be doing with a girl.
Yeah.
And and I liked Jack says to Amy, says back during the war, the Cowgirls were expected to do everything that the Cowboys did.
Yeah, and we find out that Jack's wife was into roping as well.
Yeah. And so we also find out that Lou has all these sort of mixed feelings about being in the rodeo because they were laughing at her when she did it, and she had kind of an embarrassing experience. And so going back in, and especially in that turquoise outfit, let's go back. And there's a new lawyer in town named Sherry that has won Little Miss Rodeo. She's kind of catty. She's kind of similar to Ashley.
Yeah.
And they compete, and Amy and Caleb get third place, and she's pretty happy about that. That's one nice thing about Amy, is that she's not really all that competitive.
No, she just wants to do her best, and wherever that falls is good enough for her. It's one of her best qualities.
Yeah, and so then we get into the rodeo, and Caleb does the horse rodeo. I don't know what it's called. Sorry, people will be upset. I don't know. And then Ty goes on the bull, which is pretty intense. Like, I would think that you would need a lot of training to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that we just let somebody that rock up and be like, I want to ride a bull, and they'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been working on a ranch for a while, but he's certainly never been around a bull before.
Yeah. I mean, that can't be true.
No.
I don't know my rodeo, but
yeah, I mean, there's people that have got like paralyzed and really bad injuries from doing that. I mean, that's really intense.
I that seems hard to believe, and I didn't know they did the rodeo on the horses. I thought it was just bulls. So I mean, we're probably the wrong people for doing this podcast, because what do we know? But I had no idea.
What was the film? The rider, was that horses or bulls? I can't remember. I think it was bulls.
But the very first one that I think Caleb does is a horse.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't know that they did that kind of thing. But anyway, it's interesting. And so then you have Kit winning the race, I mean the rodeo queen competition, and Lou loses, and Shariah is first runner up. And yeah, the Ashley would have won, but her attitude cost her. So
yeah, she would have been runner up. I think they gave her like second runner up. But yeah, her attitude kind of let her down, because she kind of cheered when one of Kit's barrels fell over.
Yeah.
Just so Ashley.
Yeah, because she did well in the different competitions, but
they said her horse skills were very good, but her attitude, which is obviously a big part of this, was not great.
Yeah, there's 50-50 draw, and she says they say she's too young for shooters. And so yeah, and so then Scott and Lou get in a fight, and this is kind of more of our frustration.
Yeah.
This whole thing.
Yeah.
That's when we find out they broke up.
Yeah, he's acting like Sheila just like dumped him and walked out, and I'm like, that didn't happen. What's happening?
Yeah. And I did think it was funny when I think it was Soraya who talks to Lou, and she says, at least you don't look like a Dorito. That was funny.
Yeah, and Lou says I look like a Smurf.
Yeah, at least you don't look like a Dorito. And this is where we find out why Ashley's being a particular pill. We find out that Val has sold Apollo her horse, which is so sad.
Yeah, Val is just she's one extreme to the next. You know, she's kind of, well, not even that. I mean, you do see her kind of moments where she does support Ashley, and you do see like genuine love for her daughter, but then she does these things where you're just like, God, that's so beyond cruel, especially for a young girl that's, you know, horses are kind of her whole thing, her whole life, and she does have, you know, that'd be like Amy losing Spartan.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
don't they? I'm surprised they don't need Apollo at at Briar Ridge for other stuff.
Yeah, it's not like they're struggling for money and they've got this really expensive horse sitting doing nothing. Do you know what I mean, they've got loads of horses. Yeah. Val being Val.
Yeah. So they are trying to humanize Ashley, I think, a little bit in this season, make her more of a character, which is good.
I'm really excited for the rest of the season with Ashley.
And so Ashley gets schnockered, gets drunk, and we did forget that at the beginning that Amy is learning how to drive. The Ty's teaching Amy how to drive, and she's not very good. Especially switching gears. She's struggling. Which I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty hard. If you're driving a stick shift truck, that's tough.
Yeah.
For you to learn how to drive on.
Yeah, well, here we don't really have automatic. It's very rare that you have like an automatic car. It's all gears, which is why I don't drive.
Oh yeah, they don't have automatics there in very often.
We do have them, but I don't think I've ever been in an automatic car my whole life.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that.
Just gears in Europe mainly.
Well, especially a truck would be especially hard to drive stick. You know, that's just harder. The bigger the car, the harder it is to get into. I mean, once you get used to it. I'm not the best when it comes to driving stick. I've done it and I could do it again, but the hardest part is getting going. And then once you're going, it's a little bit easier and you get the feel of it. But it's a big old truck like that would be pretty hard to learn to drive on. So yeah, so you just take Ubers and stuff like that if you have to drive, right? Public.
No, we have like a really good public transport system here.
Oh, that's good.
So we have buses like every 5 and 10 minutes.
Oh.
And our trains are the same. So that's we can all over a city you can get a bus to anywhere, or a train to anywhere. So that is one of the good things, but the traffic is still crazy considering we do have really good public transport.
Oh, that's good. Does your family, do they drive?
Yeah, my mum's disabled, so my dad drives a car so that she can get to the hospital and things like that. But yeah, my dad's always driven. But he did when he had like a paint decorating business years ago. He did have this big, it wasn't really a truck, it was like this huge van for his work, and I hated going in it because it was that kind of thing. You're so high up and you're on the motorway, and it was just terrifying. I hated it. It really put me off driving, and also I have no sense of direction, so I would be lost all the time, even with GPS. I'm so bad.
Yeah.
So if I had if I have to go somewhere and like somebody's driving me and they're asking me, and I'm like, I have no idea. Like,
I'm not the best driver, I must admit, but it's a kind of a necessary evil. Like if I could live in a situation like you where I could take public transportation, then I would. I mean, they have pretty decent public transportation in Utah, but it's just not quite there yet, and it's pretty expensive actually to take the train here. But
I've only been to America twice, and it was for going to Disney. So that's the only kind of area that I've been in. But there was like a couple of times where we were, I think it was the nights we went to the Universal Halloween nights.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we were out really late and we had to get buses back. And it was like an hour in between buses, and I was like, I'm never going to complain about the UK's public transport ever again. I think we ended up just getting a taxi.
Yeah.
And we shared a taxi with like people. Was it one of those vans that we got? People
Oh,
carrier. We just shared with the other people at the bus stop because we just couldn't wait any longer.
it's easier now when you have Lyft and Uber and stuff like that than it used to be. But anyway, so Amy has been trying to learn how to drive, and because Ashley's so drunk, she says she agrees to take Ashley home, and
Yeah, I
she's
thought it was kind of
driving.
crazy that all these adults just let Ashley get drunk.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too. They're like drinking shots and stuff like that. Like, at first I was like,
Isn't
what
she
is?
like,
They have a
even if she's
younger
like,
age?
yeah, even if she's older than Amy, she's still not old enough to drink.
Yeah, I thought
She's
that was
older
weird
than Amy.
too.
Yeah, she's like 17 then. You need to be 18.
Well, I was like,
But yeah,
maybe the
she's just,
rule is different in Canada or something, or
no, I
what?
think it's 18.
Yeah. I thought that was weird too. Yeah, they're, and it's not just like a thing of champagne or, you know what I mean? Like something like that I
No,
can
no,
imagine. It's just like drinking shots and stuff. Like, what? And anyway, so, and then Amy crashes the car, which I was really confused what was the problem with the car. She's just like swerving, and I'm like,
yeah,
it's not like there was something in the road or
yeah,
what what
yeah. She
happened?
kind of swerved, and then Ashley grabbed the wheel and like drove them into the field. But yeah, it's not like something jumped out or anything like that.
Yeah, and Ashley's like, you're like the worst driver. I wouldn't have taken you. I'm like, yeah, she kind of is the worst driver. And she causes $3,700 in damages to the car. Yeah, but luckily they're okay.
Yeah,
And Ty takes the blame for
yeah,
Amy because Amy shouldn't have been driving. And so then the episode ends with Jack giving Ty one of his rodeo buckles.
yeah. I love
And
this scene.
yeah, it was cute. And he's like, you better not lie. But yeah, so there you go. That's the episodes. I think they were pretty good episodes. I mean, there's
Yeah,
some frustrating parts as far as Scott and
yeah,
Lou,
yeah. And I
but
need this kind of love. I don't even. It's not even a triangle anymore. Because you have Ty who likes Amy, but also maybe likes Kit, and you have Amy who likes Ty, maybe Caleb. Caleb likes everybody.
yeah, like sort of Ashley.
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of need that to clarify a bit because it's getting kind of every time somebody new turns up, it's like another person
Mhm.
into the equation.
Right. Yeah. Well, let us know if you're listening which one of these three was your favorite. I think probably
hmm
the Dancing in the Dark is probably my favorite, just because
Uh,
I liked all the little couplings. It was cute.
yeah, yeah. I think I like the holding fast this one, episode 6, the most, just
Hmm.
because there was so much happening.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, let us know what you think. And we'll be back next week with Amy, and that'll be really fun. And Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out and make sure you're following Hallmarkies Podcast all over social media at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That helps us so much. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate all of your support. And we've gotten a lot of requests to review Heartland Talent. They're all filming right now, so that's going to be tough. But we do have our interview with Amber Marshall and with Heather Conkle, who did one of these episodes, did the middle episode.
Yeah, it's
So
a really great interview.
yes, so make sure you check that out. And thanks so much, and we will talk to you all later. I mean, consider we have our consider becoming a patron of the channel. We have our watch along coming up next week, or this week. Yeah, we have our watch along coming up on the 26th with Nina Wyman. We're gonna be watching Pumpkin Pie Wars. So you can, at $2 a month, real cheap, you can be a part of the watch along and other benefits that we have coming up. So make sure to check that out. We also have our merch store where we have Amy Loves Ty merch shirts. So if you're interested, check out that. And thanks everybody, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Bye everyone.
Bye everyone.